What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great night. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you, as always, showing the love on another very busy Monday night. It's so weird to do these shows and know that the Knicks are not playing. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Basketball season is over. So it's I feel like I'm missing something. Like there's something I should be seeing every night. Maybe it's because my Mets stink. I think that's what it is. I think because my New York Mets are trash. I'm just not feeling good about anything these days. There's no football, so I can't root for my Giants, and I'm just stuck. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's rough. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in once again. You see it, Ron, holding it down. John is actually doing a work event tonight, so I knew this ahead of time. He couldn't be here, but you know how we do. One man picks up for the other, and we just keep the show going full steam ahead. But that doesn't stop us from having a really nice special guest, this week. I'm excited to speak to her, and I can't wait to introduce her. I'm sure you guys, if you're on in the Knick community and you on Twitter, you definitely know of her. Or if you're on Instagram and you're in the Knick community, you've seen her stuff. So this will be no surprising thing to see who we have for our special guest tonight. But before I introduce her, I want to say a special shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button. And you know what? Give me 1 second, guys. I just want to make sure I've got wired connection, but I got my Wi-Fi still on. And there we go. All right. So it looks like it recalibrated and it is back up now. I just wanted to make sure that the wired connection is taking control and not the Wi-Fi. All right, cool. So we're good to go. Anyway, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in and being with us as always. Shout out to my guy Walter Blackman. Appreciate you, my brother. Always good to see you. You know how I feel about your viewership and your support for the show. Oh man, look at Geraldine McIver, the first lady of Still Knicks fans and the Knicks community in the building. Let's go. Let's go. Good to see you, Geraldine. I hope the new job is treating you well. I gotta say, I speak for most of the Knick community. You support all these YouTube shows, and we really miss you in the chat. But if you're doing well and you being away from us is serving you and your family, then by all means, we wish you the best. When we see you, and we appreciate you when you're here. But congratulations on the new job, and I hope it's treating you well once again. My guy Mega NYK, call Mega in the building. Salute. Appreciate you, my brother. Angel Torres is in the building. Salute. Good to see you. Organic Fanatics is in the building. What's good? Guys, if you haven't checked out last week's show, Organic Fanatics, one of the hosts was here with me. Definitely check it out. It's a really cool Knick community show. They're all family. It's three of them. They do a great job. We had the honor and pleasure of speaking with Ruel. So, it was really good. Definitely check it out. Last week's show, if you haven't already. Kareem Grant, what's good, twin? Appreciate you. Good to see you as always. I hope you're doing well. I'm bummed that I won't be able to chop it up with you this weekend. I know you're going to the NothinButKnicks first annual barbecue. That should be a great time. So definitely enjoy yourself. Dwayne Dennis is in the building. Salute, my brother. Appreciate you as always. And Quality Jumper is here in the chat. Salute. What's good, bro? It's been a long time since I've seen you in person. Hope you're doing well. All right, guys. As I said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to those on Facebook watching. And also thank you to the people that may be watching but not in the chat. We appreciate you. And your support is definitely noticed, and thank you for being here. Sean Kern's in the building. I see you. Salute, my brother. Appreciate you. All right. Now, without further ado, let's get to our special guest. As I said, if you're in the Knick community, you know who she is. She's all over Twitter, and her Instagram posts are great. Some of them are kind of funny. She had me chuckling the other day. But we'll talk a little bit more about it. Welcome to the show, Mill from Mill Sports Media.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, thank you
for having me
here. Yes, we appreciate you. Hold on, let's get that going.
Yeah. Thank you. And I definitely felt the same way when you were talking about the Mets. I feel you on that.
Oh, are
it's
you
really
a Met
bringing
fan
down
as
my
well?
spirit. Yeah.
Oh man, the orange and blue reigns true. It's tough. It's tough out here.
Yeah,
in
it's
these
really
streets.
tough.
So let me ask you. Oh man, wow. So you're a Met fan too. So you definitely know my pain, man. It's been a struggle. All right. So
I recently got into it like 2 years ago or a year ago, but it's still painful right now.
No, that's okay. I mean, yeah, I guess you didn't experience the worst of the worst, but it's still been pretty tough. It hasn't been what it should be.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
yeah. So let me ask you right off the bat, how, and some might say why, did you become a Knick fan? How did it all start for you?
Well, my dad was he is a Knick fan, so I was born into it, really. Growing up, he always had the games on, so and it's not like I was basically forced to watch it, if it's always on. And I really just caught interest into it at one point when I started to play basketball myself. So that's why I wanted to watch the Knicks so I could learn from them. And, it just started to become interesting because I got into it and into the players. So, my love for basketball grew from there. And yeah, I would say it's all because of my dad. He got me into it.
No, that's dope. That's dope. Do you have a memory of a particular standout moment for you? Like, the I don't know, maybe so far the best moment you've witnessed as a Knick fan that like you were like, this is great, or something that stood out for you.
Yeah. There's a few. I think the very first one I had was witnessing Linsanity. I think that was when I very started watching the very first time. Immediately after seeing what he could do, I got his jersey and I was like, I can't believe like this kid is doing this. And I would say another great moment I witnessed live watching it was the Easter game with Melo against the Bulls when he hit that
wow,
back-to-back threes. That was insane. I was literally watching it in the living room with all of my family members. We screamed, and it was a crazy moment that I'm so happy that I witnessed that. And, Melo was that guy. Happy retirement to him. But that was a great moment for me, honestly.
That's a really good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Both
I'll never forget that one.
Both are really special moments. I mean, Linsanity was a moment like none other. I mean, it's almost unbelievable what happened throughout that time period. It's crazy. So wow, that's cool. Yeah, this is a good memory. And to be able to watch what Melo did in that game, I think a lot of Knick fans would point to that as being a special moment, and really the moment where we felt like we had something special in Melo. It's like, not everybody can do what he did in that game, and to see him come through and do it, kind of, it made the whole acquisition worth it. It made you feel like, yes, this is why he's here,
Exactly.
Yeah, dope moments.
Yeah.
So, when would you say, around what time, what year do you think you first started watching the Knicks? Do you remember?
Yeah, so since I like really remember Linsanity being the first Knicks moments, like 2011, 2012, around that time. Okay. And I didn't really fully get into it until a couple years later. Unfortunately, when we went through like our really bad seasons, when Melo was gone and we had a bunch of different players. We were having losing seasons, but I was really into the thick of it during that time. I was watching every game and supporting them no matter what still.
Wow. Okay. I like that. See, real fan. We love that. We welcome all real fans. Come on over. You know what I mean? Good.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I haven't looked at everything you posted on Instagram, but I do. Maybe it was on Instagram or Twitter. But I think I saw a picture of you in a uniform. Did you play basketball as well?
Yeah, that was for high school. So yeah, I did
Ah,
play. I think I started playing basketball maybe around 8 or 7 years old, and
mm,
played it throughout middle school, high school. But honestly, I didn't really get to continue it in high school. It was a little complicated story. High school didn't really have a team, so I ended up having to play for a different school's team. So
mm.
it was complicated.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
makes it difficult. I can imagine.
yeah, it was difficult. I wanted to continue that because I was very passionate about playing basketball, and I thought I was a really good player, so I would have loved to continue that and be able to even like take it further into
Mm.
college maybe, but it happens.
No, that stinks, man. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I know it happens. You're not the only one. It's happened to multiple different people. A couple friends of mine that happened to. It stinks, and then it's really bad when a school has a team
Yeah.
and then they get rid of the team like while you're around. Like that's like that is
Yeah,
horrible.
that sucks.
Oh
Awful.
man, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you got to at least be able to experience playing basketball. It seems like you had a nice run of playing throughout middle school and into high school for at least as
Yeah.
long as you could. Um, yeah, that stinks, but you know what? I guess there's always outside of outside rec stuff if you want to continue to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, honestly, like I'm still in college and I was like thinking about trying out for the team next fall, but we'll see. We'll see.
Depending on how the work, the study load, and all that stuff is going, and the course load.
Yeah. And like I also just need to like contact them and see how everything works first.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, listen, you do what makes you happy. If you feel like you can do it and you have the time for it, why not?
Yeah.
But at least you're able to, you could always play recreationally if that
Yeah.
doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
That's
But
true.
that's great. That's great. That's really cool. So let me ask you this. So being a Knick fan, you just started becoming a Met fan. Who knows how that happened? And all prayers to you. So, but what made you get into the idea of doing something on Twitter or on Instagram and creating mill media or mill sports media?
Yeah. So I feel like for a few years now, I've always had the idea in the back of my head to just start it because for the longest time, I've always wanted to connect with other Knicks fans. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, my family are Knicks fans too, but they're not on a deep level like I am. They won't get into it with me and talk about it like for maybe even like hours and stuff, but so that's why I created Mill Media on Instagram. I created Instagram first and then I went on to Twitter. And honestly, it was just to to connect with other fans and get to know them, get to know how they feel about the Knicks, and to share my own takes. Like I was just wanting someone to talk to on Knicks and everything that's going on with them. So that was my first purpose in starting the page. And from there, like I would start creating my own videos, like try to do like a little funny content like regarding the Knicks, and I have fun with that. So that's why I like to do most of that too.
Mm-hmm.
See if other people could have fun with it and maybe laugh about it because I don't know, sometimes the Knicks they're pure comedy sometimes, especially in this
No,
off season. It's been something funny or
you're not
something.
lying.
Yeah. But
No, I
but
mean
yeah.
that's great though. Oh no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just
Oh
saying that's
no,
great. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And yeah, and when I got a Twitter account first, it was great too because I feel like on Twitter you connect with so many people on there, and there's so many spaces, and there's a lot more in there. I feel like, which is great because it's just great to connect with people. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's a nice, especially if you're a fan that really enjoys, the sport and a specific team, sometimes you're looking for an outlet, a way to express
Yeah,
yourself about the team, and also to be able to meet new people, to create relationships, to be able to have fandom with other fans and, like-minded
exactly.
individuals who's, yeah, that's, yeah, I understand that totally. And that's part of the reason why we got, myself and John, got into the whole idea of creating Still Nick fans and what we do and creating the channel. And we just wanted to be able to talk Knicks with other people because we do it anyway. We're
Yeah,
friends. I don't know if you don't know our story. We're friends. So we were friends talking about sports and Knicks stuff. And long story short, he'll tell the story. I feel like every time I interview somebody, I tell the story, but I don't want it to be about us. But yeah, I wanted to do entertainment stuff. I'm really a big fan of music and R&B, and I didn't know exactly how to do that. And at the time, he was pushing me to do something, and then I just didn't feel right about it. But then he said, "Well, we both love the Knicks. We always talk in sports. We talk, why don't we just do something together about the Knicks?" And so that's how we created it, and
that's
that's why we're
great.
here. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool, and I don't regret it for 1 second. And in fact, it's become like a passion now. I love doing it. So and all
That's
the
great,
great people I've
honestly.
met in the chat, and then people I get to speak to, like yourself.
Yeah, keep it going.
Yeah,
If you're
thank you,
passionate about it, just keep going.
thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy it. So, all right, I think we got the pleasantries out the way. We know who Mill is now. We know why she created Mill Media, Mill Sports Media. But along the way, I see on your Twitter you've cultivated some relationships. You've done some other stuff. You're involved with Nickish, and other things. So tell me how that happened, and what's going on with that.
Yeah. When I first started my page, they were one of the accounts that I always used to see, and I was like, wow, like I love the apparel that they put out, and they also have a podcast that they do weekly. And recently, I would say like like a week or a few weeks before the season ended, they reached out to me and they said like we could do something together, we could work together. So I've been making a few videos for them, which is
Cool.
great. I love the opportunity to do that. And I'm even wearing the hat right now. I know it's mirrored, but it says Nickish.
Yeah, yeah. I actually see it okay the way I have it set up on my end, but I hope everybody else can see it too.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been making a few videos for them. It's a little bit harder to do on the off season, but once we get the next season started up again, gonna start wearing the merchandise and representing them. So that's been great to work with them and to get to know them too. They're great guys that own that company and
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, they're really cool guys. I don't know them that well, but I've seen their stuff. I think their stuff is great. I have talked to them on a podcast before, and I actually did meet them in person. We all attended a Knick game together, but separate. Like we were with different groups of people, and we all came together at the end of the game. When they do that whole thing, you go
Yeah.
on the court and all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
great.
yeah, I got to meet them then. So are you working with anyone else, or have you done anything with anybody else?
Another I don't know if you know them, Knicks Nation on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They also have an Instagram account. The guy who runs it, his name is Anthony. He's really great. Mid-season, I think that's when he reached out to me too to make a few videos, like the shorts we do on Instagram. So I made
Mm-hmm.
a few videos for him too. I haven't really made recently, but like I said, it's the off season, so it's a little bit harder to do on certain topics, or
Right.
unless someone gets traded. We'll see.
Could happen. Could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you don't know, we're talking to Mill from Mill Sports Media, and she's a really big Knick fan. Likes the Mets. So take it easy. You know what I mean? She's special. Anybody who likes the Mets, warm place in the heart, because especially nowadays. But yeah, and if you haven't checked out her shorts and her Instagram videos, they're very good, pretty funny. The
Thank
Julius
you.
Randle one was I ain't gonna lie, I was dying. I was laughing. I was like, this this is comedy.
Yeah.
Because she took a clip of Julius speaking about the Knicks and the fans.
It got people pretty riled up.
And then she put a picture. She put the video, cue the video of the Knicks fans who had pulled down the poster and were stomping on the Julius Randle. I thought that was hilarious. Oh man,
I know.
good.
I saw a lot of
one.
hate comments though. Everyone was saying that's not what he meant. He didn't mean like that. Those type of fans. I know it's just for comedy. Guys.
It's just fun, guys. Let's not be so sensitive. I got what she was doing. I understood it. I laughed at it. And also don't forget, this is someone making a video, bringing some humor to the situation, but is a fan of the Knicks. So you got to understand, fan first. This is just a funny thing to do. It's like a comedian making a joke about people. We're so sensitive these days. Whatever happened to being funny or having a lighthearted moment, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty funny. Let me just say what's up to a couple more people in the chat. Shout out to PayPal718. Thank you for being here. Salute. Good to see you, my brother. Oh, man. The one and only Jigga Man Porto. What's good? Knicks Morning Brew, the Morning Brew Sports, Yankees Morning Brew, Jets Evening Brew, all the brews. Ice brew, iced coffee, Rangers ice. I don't know. There's too many brews. I forget them, man. I'm sorry. Appreciate you, my brother. And shout out to Phil and Hector as well. Guys, if you haven't checked them out, please do go support, like, comment, and subscribe. And catch up with all the brews because I forget the brew. I'm old, man. I'm old. So don't mind me. But it's brewing over there. Believe me, they got it popping now. They got a lot of stuff going on.
Before. They're going great.
They got a lot of stuff going on. So shout out to them. So let's get to it. These New York Knicks. First off, how do you feel currently about the status or the state of the Knicks? Are you upset that they didn't make a move in a trade? Are you worried that they haven't done anything? What's your thoughts on it so far?
Honestly, I've been upset that there hasn't been a move, but the offseason's just starting, so we have time. And then the more I think about it, I don't know if it makes sense, but I've seen everyone saying that we just need to run it back, because if we look at all the players that we, could potentially get, not all of them, but most of the big ones, is it really worth it? And I didn't think about that before, because I'm someone that always wants to get better. I want this team to get better. If every other team in the East is trading for someone, I think we should be too. And, but we look at guys like Paul George, and before Bradley Beal was traded, they're injury prone, they're getting older. And if we're trading a chunk of our young core for those guys, it's really conflicting to think about.
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough because you want the Knicks to get better. You like the fact that they've improved, but you don't want it to stop, right? You want to take it, like everybody wants the Knicks to go to the next level. They're starving to see the Knicks go far in the playoffs and possibly be in position to get to a championship. But it's like, are you prepared to go all in? And if you go all in, are you making the right move, or are you sacrificing some of the young talent that you have started to cultivate and started to develop? And finally, we're seeing certain things. I know the playoffs was a little iffy, but throughout the regular season, we saw guys start to play better and start to look more comfortable. So are you ready to kind of throw that away? But then again, you look at who the coach is. Tom Thibodeau, he's got 2 years left on his 5-year deal. You got Julius Randle, who has 2 years left on his deal. He's got a player option, but he may decline. You've got Jalen Brunson, who's got 3 years left on the new deal. He signed with the Knicks. So what's the window for the Knicks? Maybe it's kind of short. Maybe it's that 2-year mark that we really have to worry about. And so maybe they don't want to continue to wait.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. Look, you really don't know what the right decision is, because when you look at everyone on the list, you have to narrow it down. Are these people worth it? Are they really worth it? to give up potentially RJ or, quickly Grimes, Obi, all of those guys is it worth it to give up all of those guys just for one player who, might give us a good 2 years? I don't know.
Yeah,
Is it worth it?
that's very true. That's the thing. Is it worth it? And that's a question that you gotta ask yourself, because I don't know the answer. Let me ask you this
Me
now.
either.
Forget whatever's already happened. But prior to any movement or any trades happening, was there someone you wanted or you thought that the Knicks should go after that could help the team?
For some reason, like during the playoffs, a lot of people were talking about getting Embiid to the Knicks and talking about getting Giannis, and obviously I would love those guys, but there's no more rumors about that anymore. So
Right.
I don't think I honestly had a big player in mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a smaller role player, like a shooter. I was thinking about Kyle Kuzma potentially, but
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some people say that we might have to give up too much to get him, and it's not worth it, or his contract might just be not it. So I don't think he's on the table for us.
Yeah, yeah. Kuz is interesting. I definitely think he would love to be in New York, man. He loves fashion. He loves the bright lights and all that stuff. So I think it would fit his personality, but whether or not we could pull it off, that's tough. And um, what's the incentive, like, for Washington to get involved? Because right now, I believe he declined his option. So it's not like you could just go to Washington. Hey, we want Kuzma. He's still on the contract. Let's work something out.
Yeah.
That's simple. Now it would be going to Washington saying, we want Kuzma. We want to do a sign and trade. What can we give you to make it happen? Because now it's like they're doing us a favor.
Yeah.
So, and that's when it gets dangerous, because then they start asking for more than they need. We've got some young players that aren't really making a lot of money. And if you saw what happened with Bradley Beal, that trade was bananas. They gave up Bradley Beal for peanuts, but it's because he was making so much money and they're trying to get out from under that big salary cap burden.
Yeah.
So they don't have to deal with the second tax apron that's coming down the line with the new CBA agreement. So it's understandable. But with the Knicks, who don't have a lot of salary constraints with some of these young players, depending on who it is, if it's an Obi, a Quickly, or a Grimes, they might be like, yeah, we'll take all of those guys. You know what I mean? So that's where it gets dangerous. So I'd rather, if that's the case and we put in that type of position, I'd just walk away or find somebody else. Speaking of somebody else, the name that was floating around a lot for the past couple of months, even at the trade deadline, was Zach LaVine.
I was just going to mention him.
Yeah. How do you feel about Zach LaVine, his game? Do you think it would fit the Knicks? Would you like him here if he came here?
I'm thinking if we were to get Zach, then RJ's gone, right?
Mm-hmm. Probably. Yeah, most likely.
Well, if that's the scenario, then I mean, I think we could use him. He's a great scorer. You look at all aspects of his game. He's at the top and as one of those players, and he could be lethal in the playoffs. He could help us there, which we do need help on. But I don't know. His contract is also it's messed up, I think, and a lot of people are against it. I made a post. I remember mid-season when the Knicks were doing really, really well. We were on a good streak, and our big three, Randle, RJ, and Brunson, were all averaging over 20 points. And I asked my followers, like, do we still need Zach LaVine? Because at that time he was also the trade rumors were speculating.
Right.
And I asked everyone, do we still need him? Look at our big three, how well they're performing. And everyone mostly said no, and I agreed we didn't need him. But after the playoffs, we saw good things, we saw bad things, and I just think it's clear we need we need another scorer that we can rely on.
Mm-hmm.
If RJ stepped up in the playoffs, We obviously know Julius didn't, but if all three of them could have just done their job and, did what they did mid-season when they're all performing well, then we wouldn't even need to, discuss having to bring in someone else. But obviously that's not the case anymore. So there's rumors up in the air for everyone.
Yeah. And the Zach LaVine rumors may not go anywhere because of his agent and the feud that Clutch Sports has with CAA because of their stuff that they've got that dates back. I don't know.
That's
I think
disappointing
it dates back
to hear, though.
Yeah, I think it dates back to LeBron. Probably, I think it was the LeBron issue that really set it off when LeBron switched from CAA to Clutch. Yeah. So whatever, but yeah, I'm warmed up to the fact that I wouldn't mind having him here. But if he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here. The one thing I can say about a lot of the players on this Knicks team, for the most part, I think a lot of them actually want to be Knicks. Some guys, you get drafted by a team. It's all you know. So you get accustomed to it. You grow to like it. But that doesn't mean you love it. You're here. I'm cool with these guys. I love New York. It is what it is, right? But there's other guys who actually wanted to be here. Like RJ Barrett wanted to be here. Julius Randle wanted to be here. Even Josh Hart looks like he might want to be here. And Jalen Brunson seems like he wants to be here. But I don't know if everybody feels that way. But with Zach LaVine, if he doesn't want to be here, then we don't need him. You know what I mean? We can find somebody else, or just keep it moving with what we got. So that brings us to someone else, though, and he's probably the last real domino that might be in play for the Knicks because of all this rumor, speculation, and tampering. Paul George. Yeah. How do you feel about Paul George? I mean, he's 33 years old. He does average about 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He shoots like 38% from three. He shoots about 47% from the field. He shoots 87% from the free throw line. He averages about 24, 25 points per game. And he makes about $45 million, somewhere around there. But he's 33 years old and he gets injured a lot. Do you feel comfortable with the Knicks rolling the dice on a guy like that?
At first, when I heard the rumors around that, I was for it. But as I alluded to earlier, I honestly don't know if it's worth it anymore. You mentioned he's 33 years old, and he's only going to get older. He's injury prone. And last year, he probably cost his team the playoffs because he wasn't able to be there for them and play for them. That's why the Clippers ended up losing, partly because a lot of injuries. And I don't know if we should pursue that. We have to give up. I've seen some scenarios where we'd have to give up RJ. I mean, I've seen even Randall and a lot of different players. And I'm not sure. He's PG. He's one of the top players in the league still. You got to look at his shooting percentages, and he's an amazing scorer, one of the best still in this game. So it's a tough decision again. I don't know. It's either you make the right move or you don't. And of course, whatever the Knicks front office decides to do, there's going to be, backlash. There's going to be negative feedback.
It's very true. You can't win if you don't try, though. But then again, it's very tough. It's like in some cases, a fan would be like, well, if you're going to take a chance on an injury-prone guy, why a 33-year-old making that amount of money? Why not somebody a little cheaper who's a lot younger? And even if they are injury prone, maybe they can grow out of it, with time and building up their body. Because once you're 33, it's only so much you can do at that point. Your body is just, it's progressing the other way. But a 22-year-old like a Zion Williamson may be a little different. I don't know. Or even I don't know how old he is now, but like a Brandon Ingram, who everybody loves, but he doesn't stay healthy. another guy, like it people are a lot more willing to take a chance with those guys. Zion is a little funky, maybe not so much, especially these days. But
Yeah.
I think if Zion actually came to the Knicks, I think Knicks fans would learn to love it, and I think that he might surprise some people. I'm
If he's
thinking.
able to play, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to know for sure, though.
Yeah, before he became such a injury prone player, I always wanted him and RJ to team back up and be that duo, because I think that if they were able to play together, fully healthy, play a full season, that they would do so well. They thrive off of each other so well. We saw it at Duke. I want to
Yeah,
see that duo in the NBA too.
yeah,
So, I don't know. We'll
yeah.
see.
I think that's the duo we all kind of really wanted to see, but then instead they went out and got Cam,
Yeah.
knowing that really wasn't the move, but they did it because it was available, and it's a reason why it's available. I mean, I know there's a lot going on with that, and the Knicks look really bad, and Thibodeau looks bad on how he treated Cam while he was here, especially towards the end. But the flip side is Cam is Cam no matter where he goes. And there's going to always be some question marks with Cam Reddish and what he does out there on the court. So it may be that people need a little bit more time to see Cam in Portland and see that eventually he's going to be the same Cam you've been seeing. That's my opinion. He could change. He could get more aggressive and really come into his own. I don't think so. But, I don't want to rule him out. But I'm just saying, like, I think he's kind of showed that he's a certain way, and maybe he can get a little better, but he's always going to still have those Cam Reddish tendencies. Shout out to the chat once again. Thank you guys for chiming in. I think Edward Walk is in the building. Salute. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Quiet Money, my guy. What's good, brother? Good to see you. Let's see here. So Quiet Money said, so a broken ankle doesn't get you any leeway. Yeah, I think it does. I think Julius, look, I talked about it before. I'm anxious to see how Mill feels about it, but Julius Randle had a really bad playoff series versus the Atlanta Hawks, right? It was his first real test, his first real taste, and Atlanta came out with an incredible game plan to smother, double, and triple team him, because at that time you could see he was everything. RJ was not bad, but he wasn't Julius. You know what I mean? And he was still, he was confident, but he's not as then he wasn't as confident as he is now, even if he's still very sporadic in how he does things out there and not consistent. But he didn't have that same level of confidence then that he has now. And Julius was he was the best we had. And so the team knew in Atlanta that he does everything for that team. Rebounds, scores the points. He's their aggressive person. He's the person in the paint. If we take him out of this, their offense is limited. They don't do a lot of other things. They're one of the last teams in pace. They're not a fast break team. So, maybe that's all we need to do. And it turns out that's all they needed to do. So Julius had to learn from that. Now we come into last year. The year before last was horrible. Forget it. Last year we get into the playoffs, and right before the playoffs, Julius gets hurt. And if anybody is a Knicks fan who watches Julius Randle, he's a rhythm player. He's got to get it going. Sometimes he comes out hot, but other times he has to shoot his duds and really get his rhythm going. By the end of the game, he'll have some good numbers, and maybe at points he'll get hot. But he needs time. Imagine him coming into the playoffs against top defensive teams who are scheming for him, and he doesn't have any rhythm because he's been hurt for 2.5 weeks. It's not a good look. Not a good look. And then we find out that he's playing on a bad ankle. And then I still think he was still healing. I don't think it was broke at that point. I think in the Miami series, that's when he broke it. Like we re-injured it. Maybe there was something, he had a fracture and he made it worse. But either way, that is an excuse, and it's tough for him to have to, deal with that. And as we know, after hearing him speak, he played almost the whole year or half a year in Kentucky with a broken, ankle or whatever, leg or whatever it was, and he didn't even know. So the guy has a great tolerance for pain, and he plays through things. So I just think we're looking at it, putting too much blame on him. I think if it wasn't for Julius Randle, we wouldn't have made it to the playoffs. But how do you feel about it, Mill? What do you think about Julius? Do you think that he's getting a little bit of a bad rap? Yes, we know he didn't show up, and there was other things he could have did that he didn't do too well out on the defensive end. But overall, what do you think about this whole narrative about Julius?
I was very proud of Julius this season for how he performed and the numbers he put up. I think he averaged 25 and 10 rebounds, and there were some great moments throughout the season. And he had an interview at one point saying, like, it's all about his mental, that he was able to change and get through, and that's why he's performing so much better. And I know he got a broken ankle through the playoffs, but it's just some of the mental stuff that I feel like was definitely bothering him through that too. And it came back, and he wasn't able to work through it. I mean, you could definitely see he was frustrated a lot. And, like, I recall so many times, every time the Knicks would make a mistake, you could see the look on his face. He was not happy. Or anytime he didn't get a call, he wasn't happy. And it's little things like that that a lot of people can find to hate on. And even I did, I thought the same thing before I knew, like, he even had a broken ankle or went through surgery to fix that. I was definitely disappointed in how he performed in the playoffs again.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the first time he's been like this. As you said, he was the same way against Atlanta. And I would get recaps of this playoff series. Like, I would get flashbacks of the Atlanta series. He'd get doubled. He doesn't know where to pass. And, it's just a little frustrating to see all of that happen again. Because, he's been through it. And now with a point guard like Jalen Brunson, you wanted him to work through it better. And you wanted him to make better decisions. But we didn't really see that.
Right.
And honestly, I was really upset with his shot selection throughout the playoffs. And, but I have to be honest. Like, if he was playing through a broken ankle, then that's tough. And playing against the Miami Heat, that's even more tough. They made it to the finals, so we have to give credit to them. And honestly, I was all for finding a trade for him. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but then again, as we've said earlier, we look at all the players that we're trying to trade for, and they're all injury prone. Randle played, I think, almost the entire season. He, besides this broken ankle, he's one to play through that pain, and to show up. And that's one thing that I really love about him. And I think that we need that on the Knicks. We need guys to show up.
That's fair. And I understand it. And I understand you feeling a certain way about him, still not being so sure about him, as far as a player that can help get us to the next level, because of, certain things that we've seen from him in the past. And I like the fact that you acknowledge what you have seen that's been good from him, because that's how we got to look at it as fans. That's all we can do. We see the good, we respect the good, we also see the bad. We don't like the bad. But I just think that it's better as fans if we're fair about it. And I'm not saying you, but I'm talking in all, because some fans are losing it. I don't think, as I said, the video you put up was funny to me, but what they were actually doing, I was pissed. Because when I saw it that night, I was like, come on, man. Like, out of everything that has happened, you want to pull down Julius Randle's poster and blame him like IQ wasn't there, like he did something in the playoffs, true. Or like Quentin Grimes did something in the playoffs, or like in the last game, RJ didn't go on silent mode. Like, there's so many other things and factors that happen is the reason why the Knicks went home. But they did win a playoff series, and they looked really good doing it at the time. But I think Knicks fans forget sometimes. You take Julius Randle off this Knicks team and have Obi as the starter. Obi's going to play well. He ain't going to play Julius Randle well. And the Knicks are not making the playoffs, in my opinion. With that same roster, without Julius Randle, I don't think they make the playoffs. But, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Anything can happen. But I think people really
I agree.
Don't. Yeah, I just think they kind of forget what he did in the season and how we got to this point. But I understand. I understand once you get there, you still got to do what you've been doing. I get it. So Jigga Man said no, thank you. I believe he's talking to the Paul George option. It's a divisive trade option. You know, I don't love it either. I don't know. I just kind of feel like somehow that the Knicks need a break, and somehow if they get one of these guys that are broken, it's gonna work out somehow. I don't know why. I'm like all these years of all of this, right? It's gotta. You would eventually. We gotta hit one. We gotta get lucky sometime,
right?
Oh man. Quiet Money says he has 2 years left on his contract. I think you can roll the dice and see what they can do with an adequate small forward that we need desperately. Well, you ain't lying about that. A 3-and-D type guy is something that the Knicks have been starving for, almost as bad as getting a point guard. Up until the fact that we got Jalen Brunson, we really needed a point guard. And he is a 3-and-D. That's one thing we can say. His game is legit. He plays defense and he plays offense, and he's one of the better people at it. So that part is true. It's just that money, the age, and you know, the injury history. It's tough.
It really is.
Shout out to Danny Landis. Thank you for being here, my brother. I hope you're doing well. Hope your son is doing well. And Kaiser Soze is in the building. He says, and salute to you, my brother. Good, thank you for being here. He says, if your ankle is broken, you shouldn't be on the court. Let someone else play. Don't play. Look, I understand, but you know that any good NBA player, I'm talking about the good people, because there's guys who aren't that good that would still do this, but any good NBA player that is successful in this league and you know, has a little grit to them, they're gonna play. And not just Julius, like a Kobe. Those are other guys. Kobe's, the Jordans, the LeBrons, another level, right? But all those guys, you can just keep naming people, whatever. If you have some success in this league and you got a little grit to you, you're gonna want to play and you're gonna be out there. It just so happens that Julius Randle, what we found out more through the Paul George interview, this guy has played with pain. He's played with injuries. So he thinks he can do it. This time he couldn't. And so sometimes it's a wake-up call. And who knows how many times we've seen Julius Randle and he's played hurt. For a guy who plays a lot of the season, you know he had to be banged up at points and played through it. So I at first I was like you. I felt the same way. But now I'm looking at him a little differently. He's who he is, and he would do this no matter what. So he didn't play well. He hurt the team, but it's not all him. If the coach sees that you're out there giving effort, but it's not the right type of effort, and you don't look good, then the coach got to do something else and pull you out. I'll put you back in later, Julius, and see if we can get something going. But you know, I got to go somewhere else. We need to win this game. And then later, if I put you back out there and don't look good, okay, I gave you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I got to take you out, Julius. I got to go. So I'm trying to win games. That's the Tibbs. Tibbs got to do that. Tibbs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Shout out to Delano Steele Jr. What's good, my guy? Always good to see you, bro. He says, fire Tibbs for the greater good. Oof. Oh, tell us how you really feel, DSJ. How do you feel about Tibbs, Mill? Do you feel like he's the coach that can still get us to the playoffs and maybe take us to a championship, or do you think that he is just filling a spot for someone else?
I definitely think I never really was the type of person, you know, there's been fans throughout this year and even last year that said fire him. I never said that because of the time. There was never really good options besides him. You want to look, if you fire him, you want to make sure you have someone else coming in that has the same credentials and everything, experience. At the time, there wasn't, but a lot of coaches got fired this this year. So, I don't know how many. A lot of people got signed to different teams. I'm not sure who's left in this offseason. But honestly, I don't know if we should fire him because we had a good season. Like, we have to look at it like this. We had an overachieving season. I knew we'd make the playoffs, but we even went past that. We won the first round. We almost made it past the second one. So I think we had a great season. We won a lot of games, and there were great moments. And I don't think he should get fired for that. I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of agree with you. I think that he has earned and deserves at least another season. Yeah. Because outside of whatever issues we have with Tibbs and sometimes his mistakes or how he coaches, the other thing is you got to look at the personnel and the roster he's been given. He's a defensive coach first before anything else. So you got to give him some defensive players. If you give him a roster with guys like Kemba Walker and Fournier and RJ Barrett, who's gotten worse on defense, Julius Randle, who can play good defense but sometimes doesn't, and I'm really talking about a couple years ago, that roster and how it spilled over until last year and then, the year before. So when you give him stuff like that, it's going to be tough. Now, thankfully, he had Reggie Bullock and Elfrid Payton, so he was able, and they picked up a lot of slack for other guys, especially on the perimeter. So, and that's why it was a surprise. But going into the next year with Kemba and Fournier, now you have even more guys that don't play solid defense. You're not giving Tibbs anything to work with. So if they don't play well, the success is not there. You got to look at roster construction. Now, this year, he's got a little bit more to play with. Quickly has turned into a much better defensive player. Grimes is a good defensive player who's still learning, but getting better. Then you've got Josh Hart that you acquired at the trade deadline, who is a cagey veteran defender who's really good at doing what he does and really creating opportunities for easy buckets for the Knicks too on breaks. So you've added that. It's developed, and you've added Hart. I think the team is going in the right direction. And I think you're now, and let's not forget Mitch. Mitch is definitely, a good defender. You've given him some stuff that altogether looks better now. Now he can do some things, but it's not over. He still needs more because the Knicks are still, not as good defensively as they were in the past. So I would give him another chance to take the Knicks, as far as he can this year. He's earned that. He got us to the second round. So that is fair. He deserves that. Now, after this year, if the Knicks don't get to the same point that they were or better, and they regress or something, I think I would move on from Tibbs. That's me. I don't know how you feel about it, but I would.
I agree. I would give him one more season.
That's fair. Shout out to the Lion of Judah. Shalom, my brother. Appreciate you as well. Thank you for being here. He said Randle bought it on himself when he knew he was hurt. Now everybody wants to show him love. Well, look, as we said before, we found out more about him, and we found out that he plays hurt. And that's something that you kind of would love to see in a player that is on your team, as long as he's succeeding or he's being successful doing it. When they play bad and they're hurt, it doesn't make any sense. And that's what happened for him in the playoffs. But I'm sure Julius Randle has played for this New York Knicks team in the regular season and been hurt and played well, and we didn't even notice. Or it wasn't like noticeable, it wasn't a big deal. He fought through it. So, yeah, you take the good with the bad. But like, look at all the guys who are NBA stars that are on load management. Like, you pay money to go see this guy at a game, and then he's sitting, because he's got some little nagging injury. I get it though. I hear you though. I hear you, Lion of Judah. Appreciate you, my brother. I hear you. Shout out to Almighty Finesse. What's good, my brother? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Okay, he's he's bringing up something that we should talk about real quick. OG Anunoby on the way. I don't know if that's the case. How do you feel about OG Anunoby in his game? Because now the rumor has been there for a while that the Knicks are interested in him, and they are interested in him. And but Toronto's asking price was a lot around the trade deadline, so maybe it's lowered a little bit. But now we hear that OG is going to be firing his agent, Clutch Sports, and moving to another agent.
Oh wow!
Interesting.
I didn't know about that.
Yes, that's what just came out either yesterday or today. So that's interesting. So what do you think about OG Anunoby? Do you like him?
Yeah, I meant to mention his name earlier when we were talking about potential people that we wanted. Ever since the Knicks played the Raptors those few times in the season, he was always a guy that I think had a lot of potential and that I actually wanted him to come to the Knicks. He played he was great against us, and I think he's a really good defensive player. I would love to have more defensive players. And I mean, if he's available, I don't mind it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it either. I like his game. Is it exactly what I'm looking for? No, but it's still better than what we got. And on one side of the game, it's really good. Like, he's a really good defender, which is better than what we have. My whole thing is, his offensive game he's got some game. Could it improve? Yes. Could he be more aggressive? Yes. Could he work on a couple things to really take his game to the next level? Of course. But even if he's still learning that, if he's on the Knicks and not great all the time with that, I know he's really good defensively. So that's a plus. So I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it. What we would give up, I don't know, but most likely RJ would be in that package too. So
then that's a different discussion. If RJ's included.
It's tough. Just saying.
It is.
Because you wouldn't want to bring in OG Anunoby and trade Julius Randle. Because then OG comes in as your small forward. You don't have the power forward now. Can you rely on Obi? No, because Obi wants out of here. Could they repair the relationship if they traded Julius? Maybe. But Tibbs is still the coach. So I don't know. I don't know if you can really fix that. As much as Knicks fans, I'm sorry, I just said it. I haven't said it yet. You're hearing it now. Even if they traded Randle, I don't know if Obi can play here with Tibbs as his coach. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'm sorry.
That hurts me because I'm a huge fan of Obi. I didn't even realize that's true. Even if Randle gets traded and Obi's still here, Tibbs is the coach, and there's a lot of things surrounding that, the drama. Yeah,
because it's just like Knicks fans. There's some Knicks fans that have legitimate issues with Randle, but some Knicks fans just don't like Randle because of the thumbs down, right? And no matter what he does, whenever he makes one mistake, they're going right back. You see, this is the type of guy he is. It's his character. Just like with Obi and Tibbs. They're having a lot of issues because of how Obi's feeling neglected with playing time and how Tibbs views him, and maybe he doesn't feel like he gets the type of respect that he wants from Tibbs.
Yeah.
If Randle was to leave and Obi became the starter here, as soon as something doesn't happen the way it should happen, or if Tibbs says, okay, now you're the man. As soon as you mess up, I'm gonna get on you. And if he gets on him, then Obi can go back to, you see, he's just doing the same thing he did before. You kind of don't forget that stuff. Some people can't move on from that, and they have like a bad situation. So I don't know if it would work.
Oh man,
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. So it's time will tell. We'll see what happens. But I don't think Julius Randle's going anywhere. So let's just forget about that. Mega says voting for Mill for assistant coach. Book it.
Thank you, Mega.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I can't handle that responsibility.
Yeah. Kaiser says OG Anunoby hasn't played one full season the entire time he's been in the NBA. It's tough, but I tell you, in today's NBA, most players
sounds like
don't.
Half the NBA, though.
And most players don't anymore. It's not like it used to be, man. When we grew up watching the Knicks, well, I shouldn't say when I don't know how old you are, Kaiser, but I assume you've been around for a little bit. You've seen it. The Iron Man stuff don't happen anymore. These guys, they play as much as they need to, and then they rest.
Yeah.
Shout out to interesting. Shout out to Cardboard Cornerstone. Appreciate you. Thank you for being in the chat. I don't think I remember seeing your name before, so welcome. He says, you're talking about Obi like he doesn't suck. Randle is going to be a top 5 in Knicks points rebounds when he's done. Obi can't even crest his own shot or create his own shot. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not saying that's not. I agree with that. All I'm saying is, what would happen if Randle got traded? What is your Knicks team going to be if Obi's the man? Would Obi want to even be here? That's the thing. And if you heard me before, you might have just tuned in. I also said, if Randle wasn't here this season and Obi was the starter, would we have even made the playoffs? I don't think so. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but, if it comes to me, you understand I look at the game for what it is. I got no allegiance to anybody on this team if they're not doing what they need to do. I do love RJ. He's my favorite player, but even he gets the criticism when things aren't going the way they should go and when I expect more of him. Yeah. Oh, look, he corrected himself. I see you. I knew what you meant, though. Appreciate you. Hey, my guy Phil in the building. Another key member of the Morning Brew Sports Network. What up, Phil? Good to see you. Shouted you guys out earlier. A great bunch of dudes, man. Yeah. Ahmed Finesse says RJ for OG in a heartbeat.
If RJ didn't step up in the playoffs, I would be saying yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It's not a love-hate with RJ like it is for Julius, but there are some fans that are starting to fall out of love with RJ, and then there's still that thing, like he's our baby. You know what I mean? He was our draft pick. He's our number 3 pick. That people still love RJ like that, and I understand it. The one thing I will say is sometimes you got to also look at it is if RJ gets a lot of usage now, even though he's not necessarily the number 1 option. It may be Brunson and 1 and 1A between Brunson and Randle. But if you gave OG Anunoby the same amount of shots that RJ gets, what type of numbers would OG put up? You know what I mean? Like some players around the league that you'd like, oh, I don't know about that. If you gave them the same amount of opportunities that RJ gets to put up baskets, might look a little different. That's all I'm saying. But I still want RJ here. I'm just saying we got to look at it from all angles. That's all. All right. So, I have to ask you this because he's a beloved player by the Knicks community and the NBA on the whole. Everybody loves him. So how do you feel about the Knicks declining to pick up Derrick Rose's option and him becoming a free agent?
I expected it. It's something that I was expecting, so I'm not totally shocked by it I'm not entirely heartbroken. It's Derrick Rose. Has such a large fan community. He's beloved by so many, including me. And I appreciate what he did for, his time here, especially that 2021 playoffs. He's a big part of the reason why we were able to get in that 4th seed and make it to the playoffs. But I was expecting them to decline that, $15 million for him when he's not even playing. It doesn't make sense. And if this is the end for him as a Knick, if he doesn't come back and sign a veterans minimum, then, I want to say thank you to him. It's sad because a lot of people love him and he's a great player. I still think that, even though he hasn't played much this season, I still think he could be a good piece for another team. Mm-hmm. The way he played, for us before the season, when he actually got playing time, he was great. He still has a lot left in his tank, I feel like, and I think he said that before himself. So it'll be really interesting to see who picks him up, who gets him, and I think he might fit well with a playoff contending team. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so. I think he can help, and even if it's not so much with what he's doing on the court, but his presence and being around guys. I mean, guys love Derrick Rose, and he's been, even though he's been known as an introvert, he's really stepped up, and not in the public eye as much, but outside of that, in the locker room, People love him and what he says to the
Yeah,
guys and how he's inspirational to, and you know, any team that gets him is going to get all of that, and that'll be sorely missed if the Knicks don't bring him back, because you know we don't have a lot of veteran leadership on this team at this moment. And sometimes you do need that. As much as we love the young guys, sometimes it helps when you got that vet who's been there before and tells you, look, this is what they're going to do. This is how it's going to look. You know, what are you going to do? Or maybe you should try this. You know, someone gives you ideas, and it's all
that's
about
true.
experience. It's all about experience. So, yeah. And Kaiser says, RJ stepped up when Randle choked in the playoffs, but y'all want to keep Randle and get rid of Barrett. Y'all are genius. I think it's not about whether we want to keep, and I say we. I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm including myself. I don't care. Look, if the Knicks come out tomorrow and they tell me that RJ is being traded for Luka Doncic, bye RJ. If the Knicks come out tomorrow and tell me that Randle is being traded for Luka Doncic, or even if Randle and RJ are being traded for Luka Doncic, bye both of them. You know, it's all about the right move. I don't want you to just trade these guys for anybody just for a change. I'm not with that. I'm not with that. Like, it has to make sense. We got to get better. You know, and we don't need more projects either. You don't want to take a chance like, oh, let's go get this young player who hasn't proven anything, but he's got game and he might turn out to be something. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. The Knicks are already on this window with a veteran coach and players that are signed into contracts, and the team expects to win. I think, at least I'm hoping they expect to win, because at this point, like, what else are you doing? You've already tasted the playoffs.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I just got a couple more things and I'll get you out of here. It's getting late, and you know, I know people might have other stuff they got to do. Oh, yay, the Brewers beat the Mets 2-1. The Mets lose again. I mean, it's just, you know, it's like every night. What is it? What are we doing here? Come on, man.
You know, I expected it.
I don't know what to do. This is tough. I can't deal. This reminds me.
It's not a good summer right now.
No, it's not, especially when you spent so much money and they have one of the highest payrolls in baseball, if not the highest. To see this product every night in and night out is ridiculous. This reminds me, no, we're not that bad yet, but there was a season where we were so bad that one of our starting pitchers had lost 21 games or 20 games. I did not watch a single game that year. I boycotted the whole season. So I'm not there, but I'm just saying, this doesn't feel as bad, but the fact that we are paying these guys so much money, it feels close.
Yeah, it hurts. Definitely. You expect them to do more than what they're doing, and it's disappointing to see they're barely doing anything.
Yeah. Fair point, Kaiser. I agree. We are not ready yet. We need more. If say we ran this whole team back and we got ourselves a really good backup point guard, a solid backup point guard who knows how to facilitate, can score a little bit, so that way the second unit doesn't look as stagnant as it has in the past. We got ourselves a 3-and-D player who can, you know, knock down that wide open 3-point shot and play good defense from that position, and has good height, 6'6" to 6'8", something like that, whatever. And we got ourselves a big man, could be another power forward with some height, you know, like a 6'10" type power forward, or a 7-foot center who can stretch the floor a little bit. I think that team could contend. I mean, after what we saw Miami do this year, I think that team, you never know what could happen. What do you think about that, Mill? Do you think if we put those type of pieces together with what we already had, say we were able to do that, do you think we would be a team that could make some big noise in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't think we're that far from a championship, honestly. If we were really close to beating Miami, we were one step closer to getting there. And it's all about the guys showing up. If our guys showed up in the playoffs, I think we would have been that close. You know, a lot of things went wrong in the playoffs. You know, you look at Grimes, the stretch he was having before the season ended. If he had those numbers during the playoffs, things would have been different. Quickly, his numbers before the playoffs, It's all of those little things that if they were there, I think we're a contending team. The NBA is changing, and it is changed. And I think we can compete with all the higher up teams. If Miami can be an 8th seed and beat Milwaukee, and they can beat us, and they can beat Boston, and they can make it all the way to the finals, we have a chance. We're not that far. Anything's possible now, when you have people that show up and do what they need to do.
That's very true. That is true. I mean, that's the one thing I want to express to everybody. Once again, every season we go into it with certain expectations or certain things we think is going to happen, and we don't know because things change. Who thought Milwaukee would get knocked out in the first round? You just never know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what is happening with a team. You don't know what to expect. Now, one thing you can say you should expect, and that's what the Knicks need to do this offseason, you have to assume that your prime competition is going to get better. Because you'd be fooling yourself if you don't think they're going to try to get better, and then you stay with the same team and don't improve in any factors. So yeah, that's what I would say. You got to do that at least, but you never know. If you do certain things and just make certain improvements, the Knicks know for one certainty their perimeter shooting is not good. If they can improve their perimeter shooting, you've already helped and made the team better. As Kaiser Soze said, if they're able to get a 3-and-D type guy, a 6'8" or type player that they can put in the small forward spot that can play defense, they're better. So yeah, and I agree with you, Mill. I think they're really not that far. There's just, you have to get the right pieces. It have to be the right pieces. That's all it is. And it doesn't have to be a superstar. It doesn't. The Knicks were one of the best scoring teams in the NBA last year without having a good perimeter game. Imagine that. We weren't even a consistent perimeter shooting team, and we still scored in one of the higher clips in the NBA for 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I agree with you, though. And shout out to the chat. I agree with you guys when you're saying there's improvements and there's certain people we need to figure out how to bring in. He makes a good point about having guys that can guard the Tatums and the Butlers and the LeBrons. Very true. Very true.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Mega. Mega says, hey, Ron and Mill, I'll be getting you both a Groupon Mets therapy session for Xmas. Thanks, man. You're a good guy.
Appreciate that.
Oh, there he is. Listen, Bill, you don't understand this, and the chat understands that. If the chat knows, I cannot believe this, White Falcon. White Falcon, ever since I've done this show, it's been 3 years. Every show he goes on, every chat, the Knicks need to get PG-13. He's been saying this for 3 years. And could you imagine that now it's actually a rumor? I wonder what he's actually thinking. He must be like, what? Did I talk this into fruition? Did I do this?
You got to get him on here and see what he's thinking.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's the craziest thing ever. Unbelievable.
Wow.
What up, White Falcon? All right. So, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. But I do want to before we get out of here, what are your hopes for next season with these New York Knicks, Mill? What do you hope that the Knicks can accomplish and are looking forward to?
I hope once again that obviously the goal every season is to make it to the playoffs. And I hope we do get better with adding some pieces this offseason, whether it's a big star, I don't know, or it could even be, a small role player. I think anything like that makes a difference, and it could help a lot. If we don't end up trading for anyone, I wouldn't be that surprised given our options. But I think I would be maybe a little disappointed that we don't at least add, one person that could help this team get better or make this team different, because as you said, everyone else is getting better every year. You lose in the playoffs, you get better in the offseason, make adjustments. Boston got Porzingis, every other team's getting new players. And it always feels like the Knicks, we're just always a step behind in some sense. But I'm hoping that we can add some pieces. And I'm hoping that, our big players, if they're still here, Randall, RJ, Brunson. I'm sure Brunson's still going to be here. I don't even know if he's in any trade rumors after
I
this
don't think he
season.
is.
He shouldn't be. But I'm hoping if our big guys are still there, our big three, that they do what they did last season. They performed well. There were some stretches that were iffy, but I want them to show up again and try their best. Brunson's already in the lab. I've seen a few pictures, videos. He's working. I think he might have a big year, honestly. This will be his all-star year. And Randall, he already had a great year, 25 and 10. I don't know if he's going to get better, worse. I'm hoping he can stay consistent. The biggest thing I'm looking for next season is to see how RJ does, to see if he stays consistent. There was a few stretches last season that were not good to see, and partly because he would get sick a lot. I think he would get the flu, and there was like those 2 weeks that really threw him off, and it would get out of rhythm, and it would happen again. Oh, with his finger
The
getting, I
finger thing,
forgot what
yeah.
happened to his finger, but I feel like those little things, they affected him really badly. I want to see how he does next season, and hopefully no injuries.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I'm interested to see how RJ rebounds as well from this past season, because it was really a bad one. He's always been inconsistent. He gets off the slow start, but this past season was one of the slowest starts ever. And I hope he does what my fellow chat member, my guy Delano Steele Jr. and I talk about. We've talked about in the past, just us chopping it up, that we hope that RJ goes into this off season, loses some weight, gets a little quicker, cuts some of that body fat, and stops worrying about, because it looked like the Knicks had this game plan. Everybody was trying to get bigger, and then it didn't work for Mitch, and Julius started to slim down a little bit and get a little bit more cut because he tried to get bigger before, but like RJ didn't necessarily get the memo or whatever. So I'm hoping that he comes into this camp this season in really good shape, cuts some of that weight, maybe gets a little quicker, because he's strong enough to get to the lane and get where he wants to go anywhere. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I hope he starts to work on a mid-range shot. Get that Dwayne Wade, that the DeMar DeRozan game type going. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And I forgot to mention this, but you mentioned Mitch. I'm really hoping that, I don't know if he can possibly get some offensive game going. It would be helpful if we need it,
It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see. I'm not holding my breath. I've seen Mitch do spin moves behind the backs, fall back threes in the offseason. I have yet to see him do anything remotely close to that in a basketball game. So in the offseason, he's incredible. He does some wild stuff. I'm like, I can't believe he's doing it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I thank you for. Oh, real quick, I didn't ask you. So about the two young guys that we picked up, Jalen Martin and Jacob Toppin. What do you think about those two pickups, real quick?
Well, Jacob Toppin, the Knicks signing him really shocked me, and I was very confused on that.
Now, do you think that's a real signing, or is it a little sketchy to you?
It's very sketchy to me. I mean, you look at this past week, all the events that happened with Obi, the leaked audio and him deciding that he wants to part ways, and then the Knicks go out and sign his brother. I'm not even sure what all of this means. It's really sketchy to me. But looking at his game, looking at his game, I've seen some highlights, and he's a really explosive player. Just like Obi, he can get to the basket and dunk, but what I liked about what I saw the most was his defense. I saw a lot of block shots in those highlights, which is, something I always like to see from players. Defense is important. But for Jalen Martin, I think that I didn't even know, he was on an overtime team. I didn't even know you could get into the NBA like that. But it's a very unconventional way to get into the NBA. I also watched some highlights. He's a very shifty player. a nice guard, and it'd be interesting to see how they perform in the summer league.
Yeah. And, he's got the pedigree of being coached by Charlie Ward, who's beloved by the
Oh
Knicks.
yeah,
So, the relationships thing. But outside of that, Charlie Ward was a very solid point guard for the New York Knicks. He wasn't flashy, but what he did do out there was very solid. And if he's turned, and that's the thing, like when I looked at Jalen Martin's game, he reminds me of Scotty Barnes. And if you look at him, he kind of looks a little like Scotty too. If I might be bugging, but he's not as big,
I
obviously, in
think I see
stature.
that.
Yeah, he's not as big as him, but body type, like when you see him moving on the court, he kind of looks like him a little bit. And he's so like regular, like the solid layup. He might dunk here and there, but it's nothing too flashy. He looks like he plays pretty good defense. He gets his hands in the passing lanes. He gets steals. He might be okay. He might be. We'll see, because you know how it is with the Knicks and Tibbs. He don't play anybody until you've been on his bench for like a year.
We're only gonna see them in summer league.
You're right. Summer League and the G League will be his home. But the only thing is we will see them on the bench, because if they're both signed to two-way contracts, the two-way, it's 40 and 40, I think, 40 games in the G League and 40 games or whatever, something, 42 games with the big club. So at some point, unless they get cut, they'll be on the bench. So we'll see. Yeah, but I want to thank you, Mill. It's been a pleasure having you here. I look forward to chopping up with you. I'm happy that we got to do that. And I like your story. Your personality is great. The fact that you are a Met fan was icing on the cake, even though it's very new. And I feel that, I'm sorry you have to endure this pain with me, but I like that you're along for the ride.
Definitely.
But thank you for being here. Wishing you the best with everything you do with Mill Sports Media. Continue to keep doing what you're doing. The videos are great. Whether they're funny or not, with whichever ones you decide to do, I like the content. And I'm sure there's going to be more opportunities that arise from this, because people like what you're doing. I want to thank you once again. Do you have any final words or places where people will be able to see you? Oh, did I lose you? Oh, I don't know. Might be a little technical difficulties with Mill. I think. Oh, she's on mute. Okay. Yeah, because on the other screen, I couldn't even see that she was on mute. It didn't show me. You're on mute. I don't know if she can see it. Like, it might be a little delay. She might be behind. Can you? Oh, there you go. Can you hear me? Oh, no, it's okay. Well, anyway, thank you, Mill, for being here. I appreciate you. Let me put your information back up one more time. It is okay. On Twitter, she's at Mill Sports Media, and on Instagram, it's at mill.media. So definitely, guys, check her out.
I can hear now. Thank you.
Oh, now she's back. Oh, there you go.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
It was the weirdest thing. It's okay, no problem. I was just gonna say, I basically put it up for you, but you can tell people where they can find you if you would like.
All right. Okay. Yeah. My Instagram is mill.media, and my Twitter is Mill Sports Media. It's, as you can see right there. But thank you so much for having me, Ron. It was really nice talking to you. You're a great host and easy to keep the conversation going about the Knicks. And thank you to everyone that was in the chat. I really like the comments you guys gave.
Yeah, and you know what? This has been great, and we'd love to do it again. Love to have you back, especially when John is here, so we could really, chop it up and talk Knicks stuff. That would be great. So hang tight. Let me end the show, but hang tight. Don't go anywhere.
Got you. Thank you, guys.
No problem. Down there. Okay, guys, listen, once again, it's a pleasure having you guys tune in. Smash that like button, show your love and support for the show. If you're just tuning in and you didn't catch the beginning, please watch the replay. It's been a great time talking with Mill about her Knick fandom and just her creating her platform on Instagram and Twitter. So definitely enjoyed it and look forward to doing it again in the future. Appreciate you all for tuning in and showing love. Thank you for always supporting. Like I said, smash that like button. You know how I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans, we'll be back again, whether it be on Monday nights at 9 p.m. for SKF Weekly with your man Ron and John, or on Thursday nights on the Nothing But Knicks Network for the NBA Report at 8:30. And then again on Saturdays at 11:15-ish for Know the Ledge. You know, I appreciate you guys for always supporting the shows and supporting the content. And please support Mill, man. Show us some love. You know, subscribe to her stuff on what, however it be. Like, follow her stuff on Instagram and on Twitter, and show us. You won't be disappointed. It's good stuff. It's funny. It's entertaining, and that's what we're here. We want to be entertained, man. There's too much craziness going on in the world. Let's have some good moments. Anyway. Thank you guys for being here once again. I appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll catch y'all on the next one. You know how we do. It's always about the Knicks. No matter what's good, no matter what's bad, we're still fans. Okay? Don't forget it. All right. Later, guys.
Freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.